Halo, selamat malam kawan-kawan Cardano Indonesia. Terima kasih sudah datang di acara Meetup online bulanan eh, yang ngebahas mengenai update dari Cardano Ekosistem. Hari ini kita punya guest spesial dari Iagon, Decentralized Storage untuk Web3, Mr. Navjit. So, mungkin kita akan perkenalan dulu. Halo, yang belum tahu, nama saya Andreas. Saya Cardano Ambassador untuk Indonesia. Hari ini saya dibantu oleh teman saya juga, Bro Charbel. Mungkin bisa perkenalan dulu, Bro Charbel.
Halo lagi teman-teman. Selamat bergabung ke Meetup virtual yang kesekian kalinya. Hari ini materinya keren banget. Mungkin teman-teman nanti bisa belajar apa itu decentralized storage dari Yakon ya, dari Mr. Najib. Dipantengin aja, nanti juga akan ada raffle untuk dua pemenang akan mendapatkan Cardano Summit NFT 2 tahun lalu. Nanti ada dapat juga beberapa ada gitu ya. Oke, mungkin gitu aja.
Oke, terima kasih Bro Charbel. Um, maybe Mr. Navjit could introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Navjeet Dhaliwal. I'm actually currently residing in Norway, and I'm the founder and CEO of Iagon. I've been working on the project since 2017, and I actually come from the healthcare sector myself originally. So I did some programming in high school, C++, but my parents pushed me into the doctor direction, and so that's where I went. But I first introduced to blockchain in 2013 in regards to the Bitcoin paper. I glanced over the Satoshi paper a few times, and that's how I became interested in blockchain and how it could be relevant to data storage and healthcare records. And the idea evolved from there. So that's a little intro on myself.
Oke, thank you Navjit. Oke, jadi untuk acara hari ini kita satu jam pertama akan ngebahas mengenai Iagon bersama Dr. Navjit. Nanti kalau kawan-kawan ada pertanyaan, silahkan tulis saja pertanyaan dalam bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris di chat. Nanti pas sesi Q&A, kita akan bacakan pertanyaan kawan-kawan, kemudian kita akan translate dan ke dalam bahasa Inggris supaya Mr. Navjit juga bisa jawab, dan kita akan translate balik jawabannya ke bahasa Indonesia. Kurang lebih seperti itu. Kemudian setelah itu kita ada raffle dulu untuk 2 orang pemenang. Nanti dapat NFT sama ada yang dilakukan oleh Bro Charbel. Habis itu ada update juga dari Project Catalyst Fund 10. Kita sedang masa voting. Nanti kita akan jelaskan juga gimana teman-teman kalau mau ikutan voting. Kurang lebih kayak gitu untuk hari ini. Kita bisa mulai aja. Jadi kalau teman-teman punya pertanyaan, silahkan tulis di chat. Nanti kita akan jawab juga. Mungkin buat teman-teman yang baru, saya coba share screen sebentar. I will explain a little bit about Cardano Cube, okay, Mr. Navjit. So, yeah. So, untuk teman-teman yang masih baru, bisa cek juga proyek-proyek yang ada di Cardano Ecosystem, di Cardano Cube. Mungkin Bro Charbel bisa share di chat, atau saya coba share sebentar di chat. Oke. Di sini banyak proyek yang udah jalan, kayak di DEX. Untuk decentralized exchange-nya, kita ada MinSwap, ada MusliSwap, kemudian ada SundaeSwap, dan lain-lain. Untuk walletnya juga ada berbagai macam pilihan yang kawan-kawan bisa coba cek. Di DeFi-nya udah Indigo Protocol tuh juga udah jalan. Terus untuk lending borrowing-nya juga udah ada kayak kemarin sih yang udah jalan sih itu kan
Di kanan, kan landingin
oh
bro.
ya nih,
Yes.
lending borrowing di si Liquid sama si Fleet Tokens ya. Landfi juga udah jalan.
DeFi juga.
Jadi teman-teman bisa cek juga marketplace, NFT, stablecoin yang udah ada, Jet. Kita masih nungguin ini ya, Unsense USDA. Itu belum ada update, harusnya sih akhir tahun. Mereka kayaknya agak mundur. Kemudian untuk identity juga kita ada Tala Prism, IMX, Yagon di sini untuk data juga, yang hari ini akan dipresentasikan oleh Mr. Navjit. Jadi silakan cek aja, banyak project yang udah jalan di sini maupun yang masih in progress. Jadi teman-teman bisa cek. Kurang lebih itu aja intronya dari saya. I think we can start with Mr. Navjit's presentation. So yeah, please. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So for the first presentation, guys, I'm gonna have it's gonna be a little bit different because I wasn't prepared to showcase that because my Adobe's not working, but I'll showcase my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that, and I'll go through that
Yes. Okay.
This is a kind of a presentation that we did in the Cardano Summit. So we will showcase on what we talked about. So what Eigon is Eigon is a decentralized storage and compute platform, and our first focus is on storage, and we're focusing on the decentralized storage part first, and that's coming out in mainnet this month. So what we do is we connect the end users, which are wanting to use the storage capacity, with the end users or with the resource providers, something like Airbnb for storage. Okay, so you have Airbnb, you buy or rent places, and you connect with people that are renting their places. So same premise here, where people are renting their storage and you are wanting the storage. So you're connecting with people that you feel like fit your needs. Okay. What the unique part about Eigon is the learning of the behavior of the resource providers. So what we do is we learn the behavior in terms of different variables like performance, availability, trustability, different factors that are important for the end user. Also location. So why is location important? And that's one of the biggest premises of data compliance and data regulations. So for example, I'm going to give you an example of where I'm from, for example, GDPR. And every country, every region has these compliances in a different manner. So in Europe, there's something called GDPR, which is compliance where you can't transfer data outside of EU. So data has to be located specifically in the EU. So what this problem is that a lot of the decentralized protocols right now, they store their data randomly across random servers. There's no premise of locating where those servers are or how performant they are, how available they are. And this creates a problem, especially if you want to onboard traditional companies that want to adhere to compliance, that want to be compliant with data regulations. And these companies are actually trying to seek for that. And even in the centralized place, AWS and Google cannot be compliant because of how they're built. It's not that they can't build that way. It's just they're built backwards and it's easier for them to pay the fines instead of building that direction. Okay. So we aim to solve that problem because we came in 2017 and 2018 was when data regulations and data protection laws became a little bit more relevant and more looked at. So we were kind of lucky in the sense that we came at the correct time because timing is a big factor. Now we can implement a solution that caters to compliance as well, which is very important to gain adoption. Okay. So there's many problems other than that. Just the compliance is one of them, right? So privacy for your data not being adhered to, security. If you centralize, if a certain file is in a certain location at a certain time, there's always a chance of a data leak. Unused capacities, meaning that there's so many data centers around the world. There's a lot of data centers that are not using their full capacity, or even devices like our laptops that aren't using full capacity. So it's kind of wasted energy, wasted resources that could be used to provide a service. And this will also, in return, reduce the cost. And we aim to solve these problems in terms of privacy, making sure that the control of the data is in the person that's uploading the files. So there's no middleman, no one else can see your data. It's only you or your enterprise that has access to that. Secure in a sense that we are sharding, encrypting on the user side and sending it across to locations that you specifically choose in terms of performance, availability, and trustability and location, different factors that are important to you. That allows us also to have a, just let me know if you want me to stop. So are you going to be translating this now or after? Let me know.
No, we are not translated now. So you can finish your presentations and
Sure.
the guys will put their questions in Indonesian language or in English in the chat,
Sure.
and we will answer it during the Q&A sessions.
Awesome. So this allows us to reduce the eco footprint and also allows us to reduce the cost because we're not using where there's no maintenance cost. There's only the nodes that are up running and providing those idle capacities. And the nodes can be anyone. So anyone that has spare capacities like data centers, private PCs, servers can allocate their storage to Igon and be connected with the end user that wants to use those resources. Okay, so right now in the current testnet, we are in testnet phase. We have over 220 nodes, I think, more than that probably now, already allocated to that have already kind of allocated their storage to us, and the total data being around 450 terabytes of data. So there's a lot of data that's available, and that's just to give you a perspective comparison. Arweave has about 140 terabytes. Okay, so that gives you a perspective that we are already in testnet, and we're already kind of 4 times in terms of storage size bigger than Arweave. And also in terms of nodes, Arweave has about 50, 60 nodes. So we have about over 220 already in testnet. So just to give you the decentralization aspect and give you a perspective on how that looks like. So diving into Igon, there's a big demand for data. And you showed a screen about the Cardano Cube. Every project there, in order to be decentralized, needs to have a decentralized infrastructure like Igon or something along that line. So if they're building a dApp or app and they're not using centralized servers, in a sense, it's not really decentralized or Web3. Everyone has to remember every app, every project needs an infrastructure that's in a decentralized manner in order to be decentralized. And that's, I think, the most important part to highlight, because that highlights how much data is needed around the world, not just in blockchain space, but in every industry. So data storage is very important, even though it's a boring topic. It's definitely the kind of the main topic of every industry player in the world, because you always need to store some kind of database, always need to users database, things like that for you to function as a business. So I explained this a little bit on this screen in terms of we're a storage marketplace currently, and we're going to be adding compute next year. So we are basically we are here, the middleman, I guess we want to call it that. And then the business and retail customers is whoever wants to use the resources, and then the resource providers are who are allocating the idle capacity, and we're connecting those two players together. So why would you choose Igon instead of another storage provider? So we have few encryption built in. So for example, if you're encrypting your file, it's going to be on the user end. Also, we have something called Igon Secure Lake technology, which is different from centralized servers, because centralized servers, you have a file located at one server at one specific time, and it could always occur a data leak. So we call that a data lake, okay? And the data lake has all the data. Think of a big lake and a fence around it. A fence is kind of like an encryption, okay? If you break through the encryption or jump over the fence, you can swim in the lake and collect as much data as you want, and you can use it as you want. So that's the kind of the bad actor that's coming into play. But how Igon does it is you have multiple mini lakes that are completely frozen, also have a fence around it. But even if you penetrate that fence and you jump over that fence, you meet a frozen lake. There's no way to penetrate that data, no way to get information on what that a specific file means or that shard means. So, and another thing is that even though the concept of Igon is very complex in the architecture and how it's done, we want to make it as simple as possible. So we want to make it easy for end users and for resource providers to provide their capacity, and end users to use that data in a compliant way. So we're focusing on very easy ways to build your services on top of Igon. And that's one of the kind of the bigger goals of any blockchain project, to make it easy and simple for users to use the platform in an easy way. A little bit about our investors from the past, and also our backers. Just the main highlights are we have received grants from Innovation Norway, which is a government-funded company, and SkatteFUNN, which is also a government-funded company, which gets taxed back to innovative companies. So those are two highlights we wanted to highlight. I'm not going to go over the partners right now. we're migrating. We migrated from Ethereum to Cardano. So we've done that. So this is old pitch, but we just wanted to know that we took a big step from Ethereum to Cardano. So we were on Cardano, Ethereum before, and now on Cardano fully. So why we did that is a few things that mattered. Reason why is that Ethereum has a lot of security flaws. And why we implemented on Ethereum first is because Ethereum was very mature at that time, and Cardano didn't have the smart contract capability at that time. So we wanted to build a functional product. We actually did build a functional product, and we had a tester app and miner app ready, available, downloadable, and usable. And we had over 400 users already. But what we realized quickly as the compliance issues were coming into the forefront, like GDPR and other data regulations, we realized that architecture wasn't going to work long term. We realized very quickly, and we made a switch right then of thinking of new ways to implement the solution in a better, more compliant way. And that's when we kind of pivoted and also started looking at other solutions while we were doing the architectural work for the compliance part. And in 2020, we started hearing about Cardano being a little bit more, getting more mature and getting to a point where they can kind of onboard dApps. That's when we decided to make a move in 2021 to migrate because of the security issues on Ethereum, multiple hacks, exploits, and we were actually unfortunate to be a part of that. One of the hacks, exploits where we created a front end for a bridge which used Nomad to Melkamada to Cardano. So we used that bridge. Actually, that bridge was very nice, very beautiful in terms of user usability and ease of use. But what happened was Nomad, the third party that was hosting the bridge, got exploited, and a lot of other projects that were in the bridge got affected. We weren't as affected because we took all the liquidity off the Ethereum side already. So we were kind of fortunate in that event. But we did have centralized exchanges that we were listing on that we had to pause trading on at that time. So that was kind of the downside, like kind of the bottom, I guess, for Iagon in terms of where we were. But we still pushed through to focus, and we pushed actually at a faster pace to migrate to Cardano because of that issue. So it kind of highlighted why it was important to migrate over to Cardano because of these exploits, and not just on the token side, but in definitely how it's constructed and in terms of Ethereum. I think Cardano is much more decentralized, has a good foundation, and built in the direction that lays a great foundation. So we have an MVP already released. As I mentioned, this is a late pitch, like an older pitch, but we have an MVP released for the storage protocol. We also have a multi-sender available, so a bulk sender where you can send 30 transactions at one time. That's available. We're also going to be releasing a multi-sig. And why we're building these apps or dApps that are not specifically focused on storage is because we want to create features around the storage service. Because storage in itself is not going to be the greatest. It is a good use case, but there's going to have to be ways where we can get adoption onboarded. And these dApps that we believe that we are building are catering to that adoption or fast tracking that adoption. So multi-sig and these things like the multi-sender that will create usability on the platform and are using the decentralized storage protocol or the decentralized storage network of Iagon are still that creates a use case, direct use case, instead of people purchasing a certain amount of storage. So now you're not purchasing just the storage, but you're purchasing features that you think are important to usability in Cardano ecosystem as a person or enterprise. A little bit of the roadmap. This roadmap has been updated, so we're well ahead of this part, okay? As I mentioned, this is an old pitch, so just bear with us on that. So a little bit about our team, our co-founding team. Myself, I am from the business aspect side. I ran 2 ventures myself previously, and they're still running by themselves, but they're done very successfully. From business aspect point of view, they have a good amount of revenue coming annually. So now I'm focusing on Iagon in 2017 onwards. We have other co-founders that had a say in the vision of Iagon, which is Dr. Alad Harrison, Dr. Rohit Gupta, and Dr. Claudio Lima. So Alad is from Israel. He's a machine learning expert, economics professor. And Rohit is actually one of the senior managers at Google currently. He's the former director of technology for Expedia. He has a direct tie in what our mission is, because he wrote his thesis back in 2005 in regards to decentralized compute. And so he has written this, he has thought about this idea a lot before us, but he concluded that there was no way, in his thesis he included, there's no way to reward the resource providers. And this is what the token model on Iagon, when we approached Rohit, solves, and that's where we reward the resource providers for their commitment. And then we have Dr. Claudio Lima. He's also Rohit and Claudio, both from the US. Claudio is a former CTO of Huawei in East Asia. So he has a really good background in telecoms and healthcare, and also he has currently working with government institutions and enterprises in regards to blockchain infrastructure and how it should be implemented. We have advisors as well. Maybe you guys are familiar with Darren. Darren is advising us. We have Elliot and Matthew, but those are the advisors currently, and that's a summary of Iagon first before I dive into the proposals. Now, there's a lot to go into in Iagon. We could have definitely another hour talk if we wanted to on Iagon, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on the proposals. Do you want me to dive right into it, or should
maybe there is already several questions we can answer. Jadi kita akan coba masuk ke sesi tanya jawab yang pertama dulu. Okay, I will read the questions for you and you can answer it. So the first question is, how many nodes are there in the Iagon at the moment? It's in the testnet, right?
Yeah, it's in the testnet. So
pre-production testnet. Okay.
Yes, it's in testnet. I can actually showcase maybe if we have this. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Let's see my screen. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay. So this is currently the testnet dashboard. Okay.
Okay.
And again, there's some sample data as well, like the reward history is demo data. Okay. But if you go to notes, okay, 1 second. Notes. Okay. If I can showcase it, you can see the nodes here. Okay.
Okay.
And you can view them by country. Okay. So you can also, hold on, if I see all. Okay. So you have the nodes information here. Okay. And you can select through the countries of how many nodes have been allocated through countries around the world.
So this is the dashboard for the storage provider, right?
Yes, this is for the dashboard. So we have Indonesia here as well. We have one currently, and around this area we have quite a few nodes, and also the US and Canada. Yeah, so you can look around. There's over 220 nodes. I don't know the exact number.
Okay, no problem.
We subtracted our own nodes, which are in Norway and Nepal.
Okay, so let me translate the answer. Jadi pertanyaannya berapa banyak nodes yang ada di seluruh dunia di Iagon di testnetnya sekarang, sekitar ada 200 lebih. Ada satu di Indonesia. Jadi masih di testnet yang masih beta, untuk beta tester. I think it's for beta tester, right?
Yes, for
okay.
testing. So if you guys can test it out, these are live stats. So they're giving live information on the number of nodes.
Okay, then we will go to the second questions. When will Iagon be available in the mainnet?
This month. So the plan is this month, as long as the audit is done on time.
Oke, jadi pertanyaannya kapan Iagon akan hadir di mainnet, jadi bisa dipakai oleh kita semua. Jawabannya di bulan ini, mungkin di tengah bulan atau di akhir bulan, tergantung hasil auditnya. May I know who is auditing your smart contract at the moment?
There's two companies. We can't share one of them, but
Okay, no problem.
one is Anastasia Labs, one of
Okay,
them. Yeah.
thank you. The third question is Iagon the same like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud for storage, or do you also provide the cloud computing also?
So cloud compute is coming next year, but right now just focusing on storage. I mean, we have a long ways to go before we compete with those guys, but we already demoed kind of a hosting, static website hosting just recently. So we're
Okay.
definitely going to do that and get there.
Okay, let me translate. Jadi pertanyaannya, apakah Iagon itu sama seperti Amazon Web Services atau Google Cloud yang biasa nyediain storage atau juga cloud computing? Tadi jawabannya saat ini baru storage aja, di mana teman-teman ntar bisa hosting static web. Tapi tahun depan mereka rencananya juga mau bikin yang untuk cloud computing, jadi teman-teman bisa sewa kayak di Google Cloud atau Amazon Web Services, di mana bisa ngerunning komputer untuk ngerunning backend di sana. Kurang lebih seperti itu. And then to the fourth questions, how can we participate to run a node in Iagon? Maybe you can share the link or you can share your screen.
I can share the link directly with you guys so that you
Okay,
can
thank you.
check it out and join there as well. So I encourage you to check out our Discord as well. So if you guys have specific questions, because there's a lot of testers already. Yeah, you can check it out on Discord as well.
Oke, thank you. Jadi teman-teman bisa baca aja nanti di linknya yang di-share sama Navjit, gimana cara berpartisipasi jadi node yang kalau misalkan teman-teman punya storage yang nggak kepake di laptopnya, kalian running node-nya, terus storage kalian nanti bisa digunakan untuk dipakai di Iagon, di marketplace-nya, kemudian ntar kalian dapat token Iagon yang bisa dijual lagi. Kurang lebih kayak gitu. Then the fifth questions, to be nodes in Iagon, do we need to lock some Iagon tokens? If yes, how many?
Yes, so there will be a staking mechanism for running a node. We haven't released the information because we want to avoid trading, let's say abuse or whatever you want to call it. But basically, we don't want to have trading speculation, right?
Okay.
We will release that information right before mainnet. What we have, it's going to be variable, so it's not going to be it's not going to be a fixed amount. It's going to be variable depending on the type of device you have and the amount of storage you're allocating.
Okay, thank you, Navjit. Jadi pertanyaannya dari Kalibur, untuk ngerunning nodes di Iagon, apakah kita butuh nge-lock Iagon token? Jawabannya iya, tapi mereka belum bisa sebutin berapa di mainnetnya nanti untuk biar nggak orang nge-lock beli tokennya duluan segala macam. Jadi ntar akan dikasih tahu sebelum mereka launching di mainnet, tapi kurang lebih itu variabel juga nggak fix. Misalkan kayak untuk running stake pool di Cardano harus butuh berapa, tapi kayak tergantung kalian runningnya lewat laptop pribadi atau server yang gede, itu token yang harus di-lock bervariasi. Okay, thank you Navjit. Then to the next questions, how about the minimum system requirement PC to running a node in Iagon?
The minimum requirements, there's no minimum requirements currently in the testnet, but we will also have that ready for mainnet because we will obviously look at the testnet and assess what is the best performance, how many nodes we're getting, what is the average allocation, what regions are more popular, things like that we have to assess and make sure that we come up with a minimum requirements for setting up a node. Yeah.
Oke, jadi untuk pertanyaan nomor 6 dari Charbel, berapa minimum requirement dari PC-nya untuk bisa nge-running node? Itu belum ada, jadi semua PC masih bisa, tapi nanti mereka akan mengeluarkan minimum requirement-nya setelah analisa selama mereka ada jalan di testnet, di beta testernya itu. Okay, then 7 questions. I have a friend who also complained about the hospital health document storage not being integrated. At the beginning, you said that you come from the healthcare industry. Is there any healthcare industry that currently use Iagon?
No, there's no current healthcare, but this is the reason why I think a lot of not just the healthcare sector, but a lot of industries are not using decentralized storage, is because the compliance factor is not there. Okay. I think that Iagon aims to help solve that problem because it's going to be compliance in a box. So when you sign up, you can be compliant already. That means that there'll be much more higher chance to onboard these types of customers.
Okay, compliance to the GDPR, right, in Europe.
And also in different regions, because
Okay.
US has HIPAA compliance, Australia has their own compliance, Canada has their own compliance.
Okay.
Every region has different compliances.
Okay, thank you. Let me translate. Jadi pertanyaan dari Charbel itu, apakah ada healthcare industry yang udah pakai Yagon? Belum, karena masih di beta tester. Tapi kemungkinan besar semua orang dari healthcare industry akan pakai Yagon karena mereka udah compliance. Kalau di Eropa tuh ada GDPR, di Amerika ada compliance-nya sendiri, di Australia juga ada, karena mereka udah compliance terhadap hal-hal ini, semuanya udah di-encrypt datanya. Um, ya kurang lebih mereka udah ngikutin regulasi dari sebagian besar negara di dunia, kurang lebih gitu. Okay, the 8 questions. Are there any incentives if we run a node in beta tester for Iagon or later in mainnet?
So there's no incentives on testnet. The one incentive on testnet is one of the proposals that we're getting into, which was the Catalyst proposal stature. So we will be rewarding badges to testers as well, so they can gain repetition within our community, and that repetition affects the amount of return you get on your node. Because if you have a good repetition and contributing to Iagon, we want to reward those contributors the most. So in mainnet, there is going to be a rewarding mechanism for IAG, and that will be dependent on one of these factors will be reputation, and other factors will be performance, availability, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Let me translate. Jadi pertanyaan dari Charbel yang ke-8 adalah, apakah ada insentif kalau mendaftar jadi node di beta tester untuk saat ini di testnet untuk nge-running node-nya Iagon? Jawabannya, saat ini belum ada insentif berupa token Iagon atau apapun, tapi kalian nanti akan dikasih badge untuk apa tadi namanya? Pro Charbel sebagai reputasi lah. Jadi ntar kalau kalian running di mainnet, kalian punya reputasi lebih kalau punya badge ini. Kemudian itu akan mempengaruhi reward yang kalian terima nanti kalau running node di mainnet. Kurang lebih seperti itu. Tapi banyak parameter juga kan yang mempengaruhi rewards ini. Performance, availability, dan lain-lain. Itu yang ntar harus dibaca lagi di dokumentasinya Iagon. Okay, thank you. So we will go to the 9 questions. So to make it safe, Iagon will save end user data to the cloud, which means if I am a nodes operator, for example, user A have 1 gigabyte data, when this 1 gigabyte data will be split into all nodes provider, or it will be by its data profiles?
Yeah, that's a good question. So data is sharded, so it's not stored at one specific time at one specific location. That's part of the distribution or the decentralization of the files, if you want to call that, distributing the files among a certain group of resource providers. Yeah.
Oke. Jadi pertanyaan dari Bro Kalibur, apakah datanya itu akan dipecah? Iya, di sharded nanti, kemudian di split ke beberapa operator. Kurang lebih seperti itu.
And they're distributed to the resource providers that the user highlights in from the beginning from their subscription package. So for example, if they want high performance, high availability, or certain features that they want in their subscription, that's where we allocate those shards.
Okay, thank you. So, jadi tambahannya adalah, kalau misalkan nanti ada end user atau user yang udah subscribe, terus dia milihnya, tolong data saya itu disebar ke node operator yang availability-nya paling tinggi segala macam, itu nanti akan di sharding, kemudian disebar ke operator yang punya availability-nya paling tinggi. Tapi kalau mau lebih murah, mungkin cari yang availability-nya lebih rendah, kayak gitu. Kurang lebih. Saya juga belum tahu detailnya gimana, tapi kurang lebih seperti itu. And then there is another question. What are the risks associated with providing storage to the project? Is there any risk for the node operator itself?
So there's for us, as far as we know, there's no specific risk aside from kind of spending energy costs in terms of the cost that alleviates buying the storage, running the storage, like for example, and maybe maintenance as well, or making sure the device, because if you are leaving the device on for 24/7, you're using the device more than you should, right? Yep. So there's affecting the device somehow. There's no specific storage threats because you're not receiving a full file. Okay. So you're only receiving like a shard of a data that makes no sense. Even if it's uncrypted, there's no information in that information that you decrypt.
Oke,
So there's no way to deduce what is that. You know what I mean?
oke.
That's the question is, yeah.
Thank you. Let me translate it. Jadi pertanyaan dari Ineke, apakah ada resiko yang diasosiasikan kalau kita nge-provide atau menyediakan storage dari komputer kita atau server kita ke project Yagon ini? Jawabannya risknya sejauh ini nggak ada dari sisi hacking segala macam, tapi lebih ke resiko gimana device kita, karena device-nya kan harus running 24 jam, harus available terus, yaitu berarti kita harus ngasih waktu untuk melakukan maintain laptop kita atau PC kita, kemudian ngecek lagi apakah perlu diupdate atau enggak node-nya, dan lain-lain. Tapi kalau dari data, kita kan cuma terima sharding data ya, data yang udah dienkripsi, jadi kita pun juga nggak ngerti itu data apaan. Yang penting udah dienkripsi semuanya, kita nggak bisa membaca datanya, dan juga cuma pecahan data aja yang nggak jelas, apa yang kita juga nggak bisa ngerti. Jadi dari yang pakai jasa kita juga aman, dari kitanya juga aman. Kurang lebih begitu. Semoga menjawab, Ineke. Okay, then to the 10 questions. What are the risks associated with? Oh, okay. Ini dari Sherbel, sama. Okay, then from Caliburn. There will be reward based on the percentage of the storage is used, right? So all nodes operator will get it evenly or not? Or it works like other staking where the SP operator will get the reward if they get pick per epoch. Maybe you could explain a little bit more about the reward later on in the
I'll
mainnet.
go into the rewarding mechanism a little bit, and I guess that's good to highlight, because we have the rewarding mechanism is done in a different way. So one thing is the staking of IIG, where you stake a certain amount of IIG for a node. But the staking has a few things that you get in return. So staking also, you get protocol revenues. So 90% of any subscription that's signed up. So let's say if someone signs up for $10 a month, and 90% of that is going to resource providers that storage is being allocated to. 10% is going to Eigon Treasury, but that treasury is not going all to Eigon. That's being split up in different ways. Okay, that's being split up to buy back tokens from the marketplace to reward resource providers more. Also, that's going to certain part of that provision is going to IIG stakers. So people that are staking IIG tokens without having a node and having a node. And some of that's going to the Eigon Treasury. And none of that amount sits idle. So what do I mean by that? So when you're paying for a subscription, $10, you're not paying the resource provider that $9 right away, because you have to understand that the resource provider has done his or her job at the performance or availability that the user has asked for, right? So as long as that has been done, then the $9 will be paid out at the end of the month or whatever that period is, right? So, but that at that month, before that month ends, that $9 is sitting, or that $10 is sitting idle, meaning that it's not being paid out or not being used. So what we're going to have is yield mechanisms on that $10, where you can use that as another stake pool delegation, for example, to a Genius Yield or whatever it is, to garner more yield on top of that $10, where that will also be distributed to IG stakers and resource providers. So at all times, trying to use that circular economy, trying to use the funds where you're creating a more economy around that. If you answer that, I'll explain a little bit more.
Okay, I cannot translate everything, but I'll just summarize a little bit. Jadi tadi pertanyaannya dari Bro Kaliburn itu rewardnya seperti apa? Jadi kalau kalian staking token Yagon kalian itu ntar dari orang-orang yang nyewa jasa storage-nya ini, kalau nggak salah 10% tuh masuk ke treasury-nya Yagon yang akan dipakai lagi untuk buyback, ngebeli lagi token dari marketplace. Kemudian sebagian itu untuk operator node-nya, terus sebagian untuk kalian yang nge-staking di sana. Tapi detailnya tadi terlalu panjang, saya nggak bisa ingat semua. Mungkin ntar kita bisa baca lagi dokumennya bareng-bareng. Okay, I think we will stop the question and answer for the first sessions at the moment. So maybe you can present the other slide presentations first, and then we could go to the next Q&A sessions.
Sure. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. So the first one is stature. Okay. So stature is the proposal here is a repetition model for the Web3 ecosystem that encourages positive behavior. So how this model came about is that we realized quickly that the variables that are important to us, like performance, availability, trustability for resource providers, can be used elsewhere in different protocols, because some variables are the same, some variables are different. Okay, so I'm just going to take it back a little bit and give you an example. Like Reddit, you can earn karma points, right? So you can earn karma points, and as you comment or as you get more upvotes from the community, because people like your comments or like what you have to say. But you can't take that karma and you can't take it to another platform like Quora. Okay, so Quora, for example, has their own point system where you're answering people questions and you're gaining points from the community as well, to if you give a good enough answer, right? So you have a problem here: Reddit reputation and the Quora reputation, two separate repetitions, but there's no way to combine those two or make sure that that you can you don't have to build your repetition again in a different platform. So what Statue does is try to build on top of the repetition that you're building at Iagon, for example, the performance, the availability, the trustability, and take it to a different platform, whatever that might be, Lenfi or Zerberus or whatever, and build on that repetition. So you're not have to build your repetition anew. Okay, that's the general premise of it. So what the problem is that there's not enough transparency within the ecosystem. So there's a lot of bad actors, a lot of people trying to steal money from other people, and they're not being held accountable. Okay, so we wanted to not focus on the negativity, because if you focus on the negativity too much, then there's going to be less people participating in that model. Okay, so that's why we only focus on the positive behavior. So if you're doing good within the ecosystem, then you're rewarded. Okay, so what the solution we came up with is Stature, where you're rewarded for your good actions or your trust and your basically your different things that you have done in the community before, on chain and also off chain. And how we do that, like for example, let's say if we have the node the beta tester for Iagon for node testnet, we're going to be rewarding them with something like badges. Okay, badges, like something that you can showcase. So Stature is going to be like an NFT that's going to be attached to your address, your profile. It can be anonymous, so it doesn't need you need to verify yourself or whatever. So and you can use that to build your repetition through the different protocols that you're participating in. So Iagon, for example, you're doing bug reports. Maybe you're a great bug reporter. Maybe you're a great white hat hacker. So you want to garner that repetition from Iagon, what you have done from them, and take it to let's say Lenfi and showcase, or another protocol, World Mobile, and showcase them. Hey, this is what I've done in past for Iagon. Would you like me to participate in your protocol? And that's kind of a trustless verification, because now World Mobile can say, hey, I don't know this guy, I don't know this person, but I know what he's done for Iagon. This is this and this and this. These are the badges that he has occurred. This is the karma points that he has gained or she has gained. So they can be translated into them adopting that user and making it more important. So what happens in the future is you garner more trust and transparency within the ecosystem. You garner attraction from the ecosystem because you're a great member of the society. You highlight the smaller players that have been contributing to the ecosystem but don't get noticed because they like working behind the scenes. They like to be anonymous. but they have done great things, right? So these things we can take and also apply them to many different categories like governance, loans, collateral, whatever it is, because now you can say for governance, for example, you can take, instead of just the monetary value of how much ADA you hold, for example, for Catalyst, we think that it's not a great system because you're just focusing on the amount of ADA you hold. And that's not the best way to decide a governance model, because you're just giving the vote to the people that have the most money, right? So that's creates centralization.
Mm-hmm.
So what this model does, it helps the governance model where you're focusing, maybe giving more weight to people that have done great in the community in the past, right? So that have been transparent, have been trustworthy, have done this and this and this, have these badges, all this allocation. Sorry, I went a little bit too fast there. All these badges that they've collected, so they can showcase that and kind of put more weight on their vote, instead of also including the amount of ADA they hold, but also making sure that they highlight the importance that they have done for the ecosystem.
Okay, excuse me, Navjit, because the time limitations, maybe I will try to translate and summarize about these proposals into Indonesian language. Jadi teman-teman, ini salah satu proposal yang dimasukin sama tim Yagon ke Project Catalyst Fund 10. Bagi teman-teman yang udah daftar atau bisa ngasih vote, silahkan vote salah satu proposalnya mereka mengenai reputation model. Jadi mereka bikin yang namanya statur, ini projectnya, itu ntar berupa badge, di mana kalau kita punya reputasi bagus di Yagon, badge ini ntar bisa dipakai misalkan ke project lain, misalkan kayak ada project Cardano lain, daripada kita ngulang lagi, misalkan kalian punya reputasi bagus nih di salah satu forum, di forum A. Kalau kalian masuk ke forum B, itu kan harus ngulang lagi kan dari level 0, dari beginner lagi. Nah, kalau punya badges-nya si stator ini, misalkan kalian ntar di forum B udah dianggap setara dengan level 2 atau level 3 seperti moderator kayak gitu. Jadi reputation model sih yang mau dibangun sama timnya Iagon. Kalau di Project Catalyst, itu kan nggak ada reputation model ya, jadi kalian voting berdasarkan berapa baik ada yang kalian punya, sedangkan harusnya nggak semua orang setuju seperti itu. Udah sebagian orang yang setuju bahwa orang yang lebih banyak kontribusi ke sistem, yang lebih punya punya rekam jejak yang bagus, itu yang punya voting lebih tinggi dibandingkan yang orang baru datang gitu, untuk mengurangi terjadinya penyalahgunaan kuasa atau wewenang, kurang lebih kayak gitu. Okay, thank you, Nav. Maybe you can go to the next proposal so I could summarize and translate it into Indonesian language.
Yeah. So Fluxion is an efficient, flexible, decentralized custom query solution for Cardano. So Cardano, this is more for the dev ecosystem, where developers have problems coming into Cardano, and they kind of have to create they have to create their own query system kind of within their project to help them fast track certain things. So this solves a lot of problems where currently the DB sync is not the best solution for Cardano, and a lot of developers complain about the lagginess and fetching data from the blockchain in a live manner. This affects a lot of apps like Tap Tools, for example, any analytics tools, Cerberus, and things like that. So it takes time. So this is kind of like storing kind of the data or the blockchain data in a decentralized manner on the Ion infrastructure and having it queried in a more efficient manner. So what the problem here is that the Cardano blockchain in general requires a more flexible query solution that's easy to use and also efficient and doesn't run up the costs for the companies that come in. And we aim to solve that by providing this data retrieval, which helps DeFi analysis capabilities, and also simplifies the retrieval of the data in a much easier way for traders and other participants in the Cardano ecosystem. It just makes everything easier to fetch the data quicker. And there's a lot of problems with a lot of apps because of this issue. And this with this Fluxion, it'll be much easier to query and much quicker and also much cheaper for projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let me summary and translate it into Indonesian language. Jadi ini proposal kedua dari tim Yagon, namanya Fluxion, itu produknya. Kalau mereka didanain, kalau mereka didanain nanti Fluxion ini, could you go back one more to the previous slide, Nav?
Previous set?
This one ya, oke. Jadi mereka itu ini sebenarnya lebih buat developers juga ya. Kan ada yang namanya debasing, itu cukup mahal dan cukup kompleks juga untuk pakai ini. Nah, mereka tuh rencananya mau bikin custom sama flexible query solutions, jadi orang bisa narik data secara mudah di sistemnya Yagon untuk narik UTXO data. Jadi mempermudah trader, analis untuk bisa narik data sih dari Cardano Ekosistem. Singkatnya seperti itu. Maybe you could share your link to these two proposals in idea scale, so the guys here could vote for it.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah, we'll do that right now. I'm just getting.
And there is already several questions regarding your first proposal.
Yes. You can read those questions out in the meantime.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the first question from Ape. What would be your policies toward people that are buying or selling this reputation badge that you mentioned that it will be an NFT form, right? How would you prevent it?
So there's going to be no cost for the user side. So why that is important is because it's going to be free for the people that are building their reputation. Okay, we don't want to charge them. So what this does is it creates a marketplace for users that have garnered reputation, and other projects can reward these users in a much simpler manner, in an easy way to yeah, if that makes sense.
The question is not directly to that way, but the question is, for example, I have a good reputation, right, in Yagon, and then somehow I sell my reputation based to a bad actor.
Oh yeah, there's non-transferable NFT.
Pardon?
It's non-transferable. So if it's the NFT is transferred, that reputation goes to zero.
Okay. So you will change the metadata inside, or?
Yeah. So the NFT is non-transferable, and if it by chance is transferred, that metadata in the contract basically goes to zero.
Okay. Jadi menjawab pertanyaannya Bro Ape, NFT-nya itu non-transferable. Kalaupun bisa ditransfer, itu ntar metadatanya akan diupdate, reputasinya jadi nol lagi. Itu polisinya seperti itu.
Kind of like a soulbound token, if you want to call that.
Could you share a link maybe? Maybe we could check what is a soulbound token. Okay, and there is a following up questions. Yeah, okay, itu udah dijawab. It's already answered. How to enforce. Okay. Yeah, thank you for the link. Jadi teman-teman yang mau vote proposalnya tim Yagon, ada 2 link ke Idea Scale. Habis ini kita akan bahas juga mengenai voting untuk Project Catalyst di Fund 10. Kita dari Indonesia juga ada beberapa proposal dari teman-teman kita yang mungkin teman-teman bisa support. Okay, any other information, Nav? We don't have any other questions, or maybe Caliburn or Bro Caliburn atau teman-teman di sini ada yang masih punya pertanyaan seputar decentralized storage? Mungkin maybe I will summarize a little bit about Yagon and decentralized storage. Jadi tadi yang dijelasin sama Navjit di sesi pertama mengenai decentralized storage adalah kurang lebih sama seperti produknya Amazon Web Services atau Google Cloud, di mana teman-teman kalau mau hosting suatu data atau hosting web, static web gitu ya, kayak di Web2, itu bisa nanti kalau udah muncul di mainnet bisa pakai jasanya Yagon. Bedanya mereka udah compliant sama GDPR, kemudian data kalian itu nggak centralized. Kalau kayak di Amazon Web Services, AWS, atau di Google kan disimpan di satu server. Kalau satu area servernya, misalkan yang di Amerika di satu kota itu kebakaran, data kalian hilang semua, kecuali mereka punya punya datanya disimpan juga di tempat lain lah cadangannya, kurang lebih seperti itu. Kalau ini kan decentralized di sharding, datanya juga nggak semuanya disimpan di satu node, tapi di beberapa node operator dan itu pun di sharding, jadi udah di encrypt, di sharding lagi. Jadi kurang lebih aman. Uh, jadi teman-teman di sini yang tertarik, kalau punya storage storage yang nggak kepake ya, misalnya, bisa ntar di mainnet jadi ngerunning node-nya, kemudian nyediain storage kalian, storage provider, dan nanti kalian dapat reward dalam bentuk Yagon token ya, kurang lebih kayak gitu sih. Kalau masih ada pertanyaan, silahkan aja tanya. Kita masih ada waktu 5 menit. Uh, okay. So maybe questions to Nav. Is there any already a static page that already hosted in Yagon in beta?
Yeah, there's in pre-prod. So, but there is a link to someone who, Dave, one of the developers in the
Yeah,
club.
I think I saw the Twitter, right? The tweet that he hosts your Yagon website.
Yes.
As a static one.
Dave has been helping us a bit, so he did it in a closed environment. So we will showcase that in a more kind of more production ready level in November. But you can read the Tap Tools
Medium, yeah.
Tap Tools article there and the Medium to get more information on what was showcased there.
Okay, thank you. Let me translate a little bit. Jadi kalau teman-teman yang tertarik, pengen lihat website yang di-hosting pertama kali di Cardano, pakai testnetnya si Yagon, itu ada linknya yang ditulis sama TapTools. Ada mediumnya, silahkan aja baca di situ. Oke, ini ada info tambahan juga dari Bro Karibun. Si Soulbound Token itu gaming slang. NFT-nya cuma bisa ke-tag sama address, nggak bisa dilepas atau dipindah. Oke, interesting. Oke, yeah, I think that's it for today. If there is no other questions, and we really appreciate your time here, Nav. We'll try to support your proposals also because it's a great one, and we really need it also in this current ecosystem, this storage, decentralized storage stuff. And we hope that you and your team could also provide cloud computing in the future because for the backend we also need that cloud computing, right?
Yeah, we're definitely working on that this coming year and focusing first on delivering a great product for the storage side. And then if you guys like the proposals, please check them out and vote. That'd be really appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, we still have several days before the voting is closed. Okay, thank you so much for your time. After this, we will talk a little bit more about Project Catalyst Fund 10 update. You can leave.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time here, and thank you so much for the knowledge, so we could learn more about this decentralized storage.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for your time. I appreciate everyone tuning in and listening. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, jadi sebelum kita masuk ke penjelasan mengenai Project Catalyst tentang voting, mungkin Bro Charbel bisa revel dulu 2 orang pemenang hari ini.
Boleh, kita revel dulu. Tadi saya udah nyatet ya. Sepertinya tadi ada yang namanya Satreskrim, benar nggak ya?
Oke, jadi kita kan revel 2 orang pemenang, masing-masing dapat NFT Cardano Summit 2022 tahun kemarin, plus ada 2 ada.
Oke. Udah dicatat, saya shuffle dulu untuk pemenang yang pertama. Nanti pemenang langsung DM saya ke ini ya, Telegram ya, @charbel. Jess, apakah masih ada?
Masih ada tuh orangnya. Mungkin bisa raise hand atau terus di chat masih ada.
Nanti chat di Telegram ya. Oke, pemenang kedua saya shuffle lagi. Arman, apakah masih ada di sini? Oke, nanti chat lagi ya. Arman, kayaknya kamu sering banget ya dapat hadiah ya.
Di band apa? Oke, kongres Bro Arman sama Bro sama Jess. tuh katanya boleh tuh di-roll lagi.
Oh, di-roll lagi ya.
Oke,
Oke.
biar yang lain juga dapat.
Oke, saya shuffle lagi.
Terima kasih Bro Arman.
Ineke,
Ineke
apakah
masih
masih
hadir
ada?
juga. Congrats Ineke. Masih ada kah? Masih hadir. Oke, nanti
Oke.
kontak ke Bro Syarbel jadi bisa langsung ditransfer hari ini. Biar kita nggak punya utang. Oke, thank you
Oke,
semuanya. Ini
sufficient.
saya cuma nambahin aja sedikit, mungkin 15 menit. Jadi kita nggak lama-lama juga. Saya share screen bentar. Bro Syarbel tolong disiapin aja list proposal dari Indonesia yang teman-teman bisa bantu untuk voting. Sudah kelihatankah share screen saya? Bro Syarbel? Oke, siap. Jadi buat teman-teman yang belum tahu, kita di Cardano itu bisa voting juga. Jadi kita di Cardano itu punya treasury. Treasury ini semacam kas bersama. Itu datangnya dari mana? Dari awal tuh udah dialokasiin sekitar berapa juta ada. Plus kalau teman-teman melakukan transaksi di Cardano kayak ngirim ada dari satu wallet ke wallet lain atau kalian melakukan beli jual beli NFT di marketplace atau melakukan suatu transaksi di decentralized exchange, misalkan tukar satu token ke token lain, itu kan ada fee-nya ya, transaction fee. Nah, sebagian dari transaction fee itu selain dibagikan ke delegator di suatu stake pool maupun ke stake pool operatornya, sebagian masuk ke treasury juga, seperti yang tadi si Iagon juga lakukan. Nah, treasury-nya itu atau kas bersama itu digunakan buat apa? Digunakan untuk mendanai proposal-proposal yang ada di Project Catalyst. Nah, mungkin saya share aja linknya buat teman-teman yang belum tahu juga. Project Catalyst. Nah, di sini teman-teman, baik developer maupun yang ingin mengembangkan Cardano itu bisa ngecek banyak uh, ada banyak proposal yang bisa dimasukkan mulai dari kalian mau bikin produk baru atau kalian mau onboarding students di universitas, misalkan kalian ingin bikin tools buat stakepool operator, bikin open source library buat developer. Ini tergantung sih, ini akan berubah terus. Setiap fund itu temanya beda-beda. Itu di, di voting dari fund sebelumnya. Misalkan ini tema-temanya dari fund 9. Budgetnya misalkan untuk student itu ada sekitar 300 ribu ada. Nah ini duitnya dari mana? Duitnya dari kas bersama, sebagian dialokasikan untuk ngedanain fund funding ini, untuk ngembangin Cardano bersama-sama. Nah teman-teman bisa berpartisipasi juga, selain masukin proposal, kalian bisa voting. Nah ini ada di Google Play sama di iOS, itu ada apps-nya, namanya Catalyst Voting, silahkan install. Itu suara kalian itu berdasarkan jumlah ada yang kalian punya di wallet. Nah, kalian itu nggak akan keluar ada sama sekali. Kalian cuma perlu register aja. Misalkan pakai Eternal, pakai Daedalus, atau pakai Nami Wallet. Nah, kalian ntar bisa cek proposal-proposal yang ada. Kemudian kalian bisa vote nih. Vote-nya ada dua. Kalian tuh bisa uh, upvote. Jadi, misalkan saya punya 10.000 ada. Kalau saya upvote, proposal ini nambah 10.000 suara. Kalau saya downvote, dia jadi minus 10.000 suara. Nah, nanti tally itu apa ya, kayak hasilnya di akhir itu ntar diurutin proposal di kategori tertentu yang paling atas itu dapat budgetnya duluan, terus ntar dikurangin lagi proposal kedua ntar dapat budget sisanya sampai budgetnya habis kayak gitu, kurang lebih kayak gitu sih. Jadi teman-teman silahkan support juga proposal kita dari komunitas Keren Indonesia. eh, Masukin dua proposal, satu untuk bikin Gimbal Labs Indonesia. Untuk Gimbal Labs itu apa? Gimbal Labs itu adalah suatu inisiatif dari teman internasional itu untuk ngajarin gimana sih cara coding smart contract di Cardano, gimana sih cara bikin front end di Cardano, gimana cara bikin Web3. Nah, itu kita akan translate materinya ke bahasa Indonesia, kemudian kita ajarin ke teman-teman di sini sama ke teman-teman di Universitas Gajah Mada. Mungkin Bro Syarbel bisa share linknya, jadi saya bisa buka.
Ada di Telegram.
Oke, saya ke Telegram dulu sebentar.
Grup komunitas Cardano Indonesia.
Oh, Oke, jadi ini ada di Telegram kita, udah nih ada proposalnya dari teman-teman kita. Satu yang Catalyst School itu buat teman-teman yang masih belum mengerti atau terjun ke Project Catalyst, tapi belum ngerti apa-apa. Nah, ini kita ada Katalis School Indonesia, itu kerjasama antara dan UGM juga untuk ngajarin teman-teman gimana sih caranya ngevote, gimana sih caranya masukin proposal, bahkan mulai dari bikin proposal. Atau kalau teman-teman bikin aktif, nge-review proposal, itu ntar teman-teman juga dapat reward. Kalau kalian nge-voting, kalian dapat reward. Kalian nge-masukin proposal, kalau proposalnya ke funding baru dapat duitnya. Tapi kalian juga bisa nge-review proposal mana sih yang layak untuk dilanjutin sampai ke voting. Proposal mana yang nggak layak, langsung ditolak aja. Misalkan proposalnya nggak jelas, minta duitnya banyak banget, tapi hasilnya belum tentu oke. Itu kalian bisa nge-review, terus dapat reward ya, dalam bentuk ada. Jadi community reviewer namanya. Kurang lebih gitu. Mungkin bisa di-share link Telegramnya Bro Charbel. Jadi teman-teman yang belum join, bisa join. Kemudian ada proposal juga dari Bro, siapa namanya? Yang untuk SPO campaign. Jadi untuk campaign gimana SPO itu bisa dapat delegator yang lebih di komunitas lokal kita. Bro Ivan ya, Ivan Kwananda. Kemudian dari Mbak Fani ada Cardano Woman. Jadi empowering para wanita ini untuk bisa lebih aktif terlibat di Cardano, baik secara development, secara stake pool operator, maupun bikin project-project, kurang lebih kayak gitu. Kemudian dari Paman Crypto juga ada, ini kalau nggak salah untuk edukasi juga ya, melalui YouTube channelnya Paman Crypto, mengenai project-project yang ada di Cardano. Mungkin Bro Kalibun bisa share sedikit? Apakah ada Bro Kalibun? Masih? Nggak ada? Oke, lanjut dulu. Terus ada basics juga, jadi silahkan aja dicek. Oke, nggak bisa open mic. Mungkin bisa ditulis aja di chat, Bro Kalibun, yang proposalnya Pramono Crypto ini ngapain. Jadi teman-teman bisa tahu dan bisa upvote juga. Jadi kurang lebih tinggal sisa berapa hari ya? Coba saya cek dulu. Voting itu tinggal sisa tinggal sisa Bro Charbel bisa dicek nggak tinggal sisa berapa hari? Kalau nggak salah sekitar sampai hari Kamis minggu depan.
5 hari kalau nggak salah.
Ya, tinggal 5 hari. Jadi teman-teman yang belum voting dan punya kesempatan voting, silahkan voting buat proposal kita. Jadi semakin banyak project yang ada di project Cardano yang ada di
Oh, sorry,
Indonesia.
3 hari.
Tinggal 3 hari,
Penutupan di
oke.
14 September jam 11
Ya,
UTC.
kalian bisa voting semua proposal yang ada. Tapi menurut saya sih banyak banget proposalnya. Jadi pilihlah yang kalian rasa bisa membantu Cardano untuk berkembang, baik proposal lokal maupun yang internasional, kayak gitu. Jadi lebih banyak project real use case lagi yang ada di Cardano dan lebih banyak orang yang bisa di onboard ke Cardano juga. Kurang lebih dari saya itu aja. Kalau ada pertanyaan silahkan tulis di chat. Kalau nggak ada, mungkin ada tambahan informasi dari Bro Shalbel soal land fee atau project lainnya. Oke, nggak ada, Bro Shalbel.
Cukup sih kayaknya.
Oke, kurang lebih. Nih ada yang nanya liquid LQ ya. Ini LQ ini liquid finance kan maksudnya ya?
Liquid
SJ Capital.
Finance. Ya,
Oke,
CLC Capital
jadi
ini kayaknya perlu di private learning sama Caliburn deh.
oke. Jadi
Hmm.
sebenarnya saya share dikit aja liquid finance. Saya buka dulu. Saya share screen ya sedikit aja buat kawan kita. Kelihatankah share screen saya?
Lihat,
Jadi
lihat.
LQ atau LQ token ya, itu liquid finance, tokennya dari liquid finance. Dia ini adalah salah satu apa namanya, lending borrowing di apps. Saya ada wallet nggak sih? Ada terlalu. Oke, connect dulu. Jadi teman-teman itu bisa minjemin kayak ada kalian, atau kalian bisa minjemin stable coin seperti JET, AUSD, atau Shan nih kalau kalian lihat di kiri bawah. Ini kenapa saya nggak bisa connect? Sebentar. Kurang lebih kayak gini sih dashboardnya. Jadi kalian bisa supply, ntar kalian dapat Q ada atau Q JET ya kalau nggak salah. Saya sih biasanya cuma supply ada aja. Saya minjemin ada saya. Kemudian ntar saya dapat LQ token yang bisa saya jual, sama Q ada. Saya juga dapat ini sih. Reward berupa Q ada saya naik, nilainya naik gitu juga, sama dapat dari delegasi dari stake pool-nya juga kalau nggak salah. Kurang lebih gitu. Jadi gain-nya ada 2 dari reward minjemin plus dapat LQ token yang bisa saya staking juga di sini kalau nggak salah. Nah nih LQ token saya bisa stake untuk dapat LQ token lagi yang bisa saya jual lagi. Tapi sekali lagi kita nggak menyarankan apapun. Ini cuman salah satu platform aja di mana kalian bisa minjemin kalian bisa minjemin USD atau stablecoin kalian. Bahkan kalian bisa minjem juga. Minjemnya gimana? Kan biasanya harus punya kolateral dulu sih. Misalkan mau minjem jet, kalian bisa kolateral. Sorry. Mungkin bro aja.
Kalem.
Monggo, monggo.
Nah, ini Kaliben mau
Bro.
ngomong Kaliben.
Silakan.
Ya, selamat malam. Jadi singkatnya, untuk liquid finance ini memang project DeFi ya. Jadi kita itu, ini namanya ini pool lending ya. Pool lending itu kayak bank ya anggapannya. Jadi pasti ada 2 sisi ya. Satu orang yang mendepositkan uangnya, satunya ada yang mau pinjam untuk bisnis, misalnya kayak gitu ya. Nah, banknya itu siapa? Banknya itu liquid finance ini. Jadi saya misalnya sebagai depositor, saya bisa deposit aja nanti dapat bunga yang seperti yang dicontohkan di ini ya, di screen. Kayak contohnya tuh IUSD. Itu bunganya cuma 2,25%. Itu artinya setahun ya. Jadi bukan per epoch ataupun per hari ya. Jadi itu setahun dapat 2,25% dalam bentuk IUSD. Dan kalau kalian lihat di bawahnya itu ada 26% ya, kan lumayan gede ya. Itu apa sih? Itu adalah reward tambahan dari LQ sendiri karena kalian sudah menggunakan platform LQ. Nah, seingat saya kayak sekitar 2 bulan lalu tuh 50% ya. Sekarang udah turun memang karena kan rewardnya pasti kan kalau dibagikan kan semakin turun juga. Seperti itu sih konsepnya.
Oke, thank you Bro Kalibun. Jadi teman-teman yang pengen coba silakan, ada liquid finance, ada land fee, ada apa lagi? Dulu namanya yang pertama apa?
Ada.
Ada. Mereka ganti nama kan?
Ganti ke land fee.
Jadi teman-teman bisa coba sih kalau kalian mau borrow silakan, mau supply juga silakan. Borrow maksudnya minjam, misalkan kan kalian perusahaan nih butuh dana, kalian minjem dulu, nanti kalian balikin sama apa bunganya, kurang lebih kayak gitu sih. Kalau kalian nggak bisa balikin, kolateral kalian yang diambil. Yang kolateralnya pakai NFT apa ya dulu?
Levi
Si
dari
Levi, jadi kalian bisa
Ape Society.
ya
Ada
misalkan kalian,
fluid tokens juga si Kaliben pakai.
jadi kalau di situ kalian bisa minjem duit tapi naruh kolateralnya
Pakai NFT.
pakai NFT. Kalau kalian nggak bisa bayar bunga plus balikin duitnya, NFT kalian yang diambil gitu sama yang minjemin. Jadi cukup menarik sekarang, udah banyak DeFi juga, decentralized finance di apps-nya juga. Jadi bisa dicoba sih. Kalau kalian mau share juga, kalau ada yang, karena banyak banget kan project-nya, kita semua nggak bisa nyobain satu-satu. Jadi kita sama-sama sharing aja knowledge sih, kurang lebih kayak gitu. Ada lagi yang mau ditambahin atau ada pertanyaan?
Ya, saya nambahin aja. Tadi soalnya ada yang tanya juga, ntar kalau ke liquidate gimana kan di LQ ini? Jadi kan kalau di LQ ini kan memang pool lending, artinya kalau kita borrow itu liquidate kan tergantung kita sendiri. Kolateralnya apakah sudah kayak lebih ataupun gimana gitu ya. Jadi ntar auto liquidate gitu konsepnya. Nah, yang supply itu pun nggak ada waktunya. Jadi kayak kita supply kapan pun bisa selama banknya masih berjalan ya. Kayak gitu sih konsepnya. Kayak misalnya kecuali nih, memang kayak gini-gini itu ada resikonya. Jangan lupa kalau misalnya mereka dihack, itu pasti saya rasa kebanyakan kalau DeFi ini kalau dihack tuh nggak bisa balik uangnya. Kayak gitu sih. Jadi itu resikonya
Ya,
ya kalau kalian perlu ketahui juga.
thank you Bro Kalibun. Jadi sekali lagi, selalu do your own research. Kalau buat saya, penting untuk ngecek dApps-nya ini atau project-nya, itu udah di audit belum? Biasanya ada perusahaan pihak ketiga, third party gitu, yang di-hire untuk ngaudit smart contract-nya. Yang paling penting adalah smart contract-nya. Kenapa? Banyak di blockchain lain, saya nggak sebutin namanya, tapi itu mereka kena hack karena smart contract-nya ada loophole-nya. Jadi sebenarnya bukannya blockchain-nya itu sendiri yang problem, tapi di smart contract yang dibuat oleh project-nya. Jadi makanya kenapa karena smart contract sekali udah di-deploy ke blockchain, itu nggak bisa dirubah, immutable, ya benar. Jadi selalu, makanya ada pihak ketiga, ngetes dulu di testnet, dites, dicek, diaudit, sampai diaudit berkali-kali, sampai benar-benar nggak ada loophole-nya, baru mereka deploy smart contract-nya. Makanya sekali lagi, kalau ngeliat project, jangan langsung taruh duit di situ, tapi lakukan research, cek dulu udah diaudit belum, udah dites belum di testnet, kemudian tanya dulu ke teman-teman yang lain yang lebih tahu, kayak gitu. Dan selalu ada resikonya karena ya namanya dunia finance pasti ada resiko. Nah, kalian juga manage resiko yang bisa kalian ambil sebesar apa, kayak gitu. Oke, thank you Bro Kaliburn. Ini ada pertanyaan lagi nggak ya? Aldi, mau nanya untuk testing smart contract selain di Plutus Playground di mana ya? Dia dijawab sama Bro AP, oke. Sip, thank you. Itu aja informasi dari kita untuk bulan ini. Kita biasanya ngadain online meetup gini sebulan sekali untuk ngasih teman-teman update terbaru dari ekosistem kita, sama juga update dari Project Catalyst, maupun kalau ada yang mau share sesuatu seperti kayak decentralized storage hari ini, itu cukup menarik, jadi kita bisa share ilmunya bareng-bareng ke teman-teman, biar lebih ngerti. Bukannya untuk join project itu, tapi untuk lebih ngerti blockchain itu apa, projectnya ada apa aja, kemudian kita bisa ngapain aja di project itu. Jadi kita sama-sama belajar sih. Itu aja. Kalau ada yang mau sharing buat bulan depan, silahkan aja. Misalkan ada topik yang menarik, project baru yang menarik, ada teman di sini yang terjun langsung di situ, udah coba di testnetnya maupun di mainnetnya, silahkan kontak saya atau Bro Charbel. Nanti kita akan bikin tema baru untuk bulan depan. Kurang lebih kayak gitu. Oke, terima kasih semuanya. Mau terima kasih juga buat Bro Charbel sama Bro Kaliburn yang udah ngebantu saya hari ini. Terima kasih juga untuk kawan-kawan yang udah meluangkan waktu sejam bersama kita untuk belajar bersama. Oke, selamat beristirahat. Selamat beraktivitas lagi untuk besok hari Senin. Thank you, sukses semua.